It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Hawaii Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
Good evening and welcome here to Coach's Corner inside the KCCR studios on another Wednesday night as we will talk with the head coach of the Pierre Governors and the Hawaii Capitals, Steve Steele. We'll have a chat with him about football wrapping up and their state championship win last week Friday, and then get ready for hockey, which the regular season begins next week Saturday. We'll talk with Coach Steele, also talk with Coach Linda DeBoer of the Miller Rustlers as they get set for their state tournament to begin. The volleyball state tournament will get started tomorrow night, and they will play at 7:45 Central Time tomorrow evening. We'll have a conversation with her, and we'll also talk with Sean Lewis, the head coach of the Pierre Governor wrestling team, as the boys and girls wrestling teams got started on Monday with practice. And we'll talk with Coach Lewis, the head coach of the boys team, as they are underway and ready to go for the 2023-24 season for the Pierre Wrestling program. That's all on the way here on tonight's show of Coach's Corner. Reminder that next week, Wednesday, we will take a break, the Thanksgiving break, and we'll return 2 weeks from tonight, the final Wednesday of November on November 29th. That'll be our next show. We will return and talk with head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, and the Hawaii Capitals after this, right here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Why am I so sore?
There are everyday moments.
Whoa, hey, hold the ladder! Yeah, that hurt.
And there are epic moments.
Slide! College! Class of 1995!
When a moment creates a health need, visit the experts at Avera Orthopedics. We're moving health forward so you can tell the story. Learn more at avera.org/orthopedics.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Steve Steele of the victorious Pierre Governors, 7 straight state championships. And, Coach, you and I got a chance to talk a little bit on Friday and got a chance to chat a little bit on Monday night as well. But it's always surreal, and it really starts to sink in a little bit more and more as you go throughout the week of after winning that state championship. And this one is no different.
Yeah, you come back and you kind of start going through all your wrap-up stuff. You're going through the film of the game still just like you would, and it's a little different when you don't have a team to watch for this next week. But, everything just kind of starts to sit in, and I love looking at all the pictures. We're blessed to have so many photographers that go down to the game and just take pictures, So it's really fun just going through all of them. Your deal putting all of the calls of the final play was really cool. So, just all those different things. It's fun to go back to reminisce, and then, I think that's kind of when it starts to really sink in.
Well, and we've talked about it, too, on Friday after the game was over with, and over these 7 years, you've won 7 games in almost 7 different ways, and this one being the most dominating one of having the running clock. And even in the times where there wasn't a running clock in 11AA, you never got to that point. So just what did this team show you out of all of the game itself? What was the most impressive thing that this team showed you on Friday night?
I think it was the preparation part. We've had teams prepare very well. We actually, as a coaching staff, we talked about it a little bit when we were walking through at Harrisburg. We kind of had that feeling that it was like that 2020 year where, we did our walkthrough and everyone knew every answer to every question, and a lot of them knew the questions we were going to ask before we asked them. And when you've got a team that's that prepared for a football game, understanding not just the plan but the contingencies and everything that could happen, we felt that we could have the success that we did, and I just think it's such an uncommon thing for kids to really get that far involved with a game plan and to get that understanding. We have such a limited amount of time with these kids, a couple hours a day. That's what we're getting to do this. This isn't the NFL where they get it all day, every day, and college where they get 4 to 5 hours a day. So I just think, and especially with the guys playing both ways, you're really getting an hour, for each side. So I just so impressed with the performance of these kids and the way they prepared all week long. And, even down to those kids that are being the ones preparing the starters, as the scout team players, was really good to see their buy-in as well and really wanting to give us the best look that we could.
And there's several plays. We'll talk about all 3 of those plays or several plays in the state championship, but the first one was the muff punt by Yankton, recovered by Trey Lewis, and obviously a great play by him too. But I think you could see that quickly how the experience took over for the Governors and the inexperience for Yankton not being there kind of really shocked them after that play happened. Obviously, also the credit of what the Pierre Governors have been able to do. You said, oh boy, we made a mistake and now Pierre's going to take advantage of us without even happening at that point. But I think the experience was very out in first and foremost in a game that was 0-0 and there was still 6 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, and that was a total experience play. The Dome is a very different place to play than anywhere else for a lot of reasons, not just for noise and such, but when the punts get way up there, it's a very different sight as a returner, looking up and seeing the rafters, which are all dark colored, and trying to find and track the ball through them. Whereas opposed to a normal day where you're looking up through the lights and you got, whether it's clear sky or clouds, you're able to see the ball very easily and very clearly, and it's just not an easy thing to replicate anywhere other than in the Dome. And you get a limited amount of time to warm up in the Dome, so it's a harder thing that you're able to prepare for. So I think that was Jet did an awesome job punting the ball, really hanging those things up there and forcing them to struggle with that.
Well, and then you go to Jet Zabel and the 99-yard pass that the Governors were able to do to get the touchdown, and the longest play in 11AA state championship history, going to be the longest play in state championship history no matter what, because that was how it is going to be, holding that record that will never be broken. And for Zabel to do that, not even the quarterback at Cade Kaiser to throw the ball to Zabel to make that 99-yard touchdown pass, it was Zabel throwing the ball to Kaiser. Was that the original play of like, hey, we're going to throw the football? Was that the play that was called before the false start penalty to drop you back to the 1 yard line? And what was the thought process over all the coaches? Did they say anything before the play had happened of, hey, we're going to go 99 yards here?
Yeah, we've kind of had an ongoing joke about that, for a lot of the season. That was the play call that we sent in initially, and, the false start didn't really change much other than maybe help us, I think, honestly, because then it's, why would you do that? That's kind of the mindset that we were going for. And, we'd spent a lot of the season in that formation. We'd shown it quite a few times, and, we'd thrown exactly one pass, and it was in a game that no one probably watched as much because it was a torrential downpour. And we ran that formation the first drive. We saw they gave Cade man coverage, and we joked in practice. They always wanted to do that every practice and all this stuff. And I was like, no, we're saving it for a longer one. And Jet's running out there. He knew the formation, and he kind of giving us a little, hey, my arm's ready. If we're ready for this, and we're like, why not? It's a low percentage, but a low risk play for the most part. There's no way you should take a sack because it's a quick enough developing play, and we know he's got the cannon back there to get it out there. And obviously Cade's one of the best wide receivers, in the state right now, and maybe ever. It's hard to know when you didn't get to play a season at receiver, but it's your best season at receiver. What a heck of a throw and a catch and a great move. I think that was one of my favorite pictures, again, going back to all that, is there's a picture from someone that they got that angle with Cade, looking at Cade back where you can see us and you see all of the coaches with their arms up for a touchdown and the ball's not even caught yet. Well, we knew we got him as soon as we saw him release off the line. Great job in getting in and then getting back out and getting that separation.
And one of the final plays, too, of the first half was Cade Kaiser dropping the football, then picking up and throwing a touchdown pass to George Staley where he was looking over his right shoulder and then had to turn around and look over his left shoulder. And that was that's a nail in the coffin type. That's a home run ball. That is taking advantage of the Yankton team being on their heels, trying to just get something to go their way. And you took it to them on that play, especially. That wasn't the game-winning one, but it was one that really took everything out of what Yankton had. That was an incredible pass, one after you drop it, you have to pick it back up. But then what Staley was able to do to turn from his right to his left, baseball players don't make that play. And a football player with all the pads and the helmet on was able to make that catch and get in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, that's all-around incredible play, and that drive was such an important drive. We got it back, and we were in a 2-minute situation, but we were kind of in that, hey, we're going to run the ball and get a couple first downs, grind it out a little so that we can make sure Yankton doesn't get the ball back, and then we're going to go for it. And wouldn't you know, we go for it and one play is in, we did a great job, Cade, understanding what we were calling, understanding the matchup that we had with George on a linebacker there. So I think that helped in the sense that when the ball did hit the ground, he knew where he was going with the ball as soon as he got it up. He didn't have to go up and then try and make a progression. He understood that, hey, we got George on a go on a linebacker. If I get this ball up, I'm just putting it over to him. And, again, it had enough air on it to allow George for that time to adjust. And then, obviously George takes over just being the great athlete that he is, in adjusting to the football and making a catch and then doubting himself and double tapping his feet just to make sure that they're in bounds.
And, 7 straight state championships. Obviously, in the welcome home, you talked about, you're concerned about the one, and you're concerned about the one this year, and then you'll start working for next year, whether it be, already started or, in the coming weeks to get ready for trying to get the next one. But what does this say about Pierre winning 7 straight state championships and then the run that this Governor team has been on, whether it be older brothers or guys that didn't, the parents that didn't have their kids even in football at the time, and then all of a sudden now they get to be a part of it. There's so many families, whether it be older brothers with the younger brothers or just different families in general that have been able to be a part of this 7-year run.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about this community, that just the support they give athletics and the amount that they continue to support their kids, because there's a lot of time and effort that goes into this before they're peer Governor football players, when they're playing for the YMCA, or playing travel ball or doing all those other things. And, they don't come into the peer program with nothing. They come in with a good love for the game and, good friendships and things that they enjoy that keep them playing. And then, obviously once they get into the football program for the school, then, the coaches at the lower levels do an awesome job continuing to make sure they have a good experience and then, teaching them a little bit more. And it keeps filtering all the way up. And I think by the time they get to the varsity level, it's their turn and they want to cap it off the right way. And, again, it's never ever really been about records of this or that. It's always just been about, hey, let's go and put this out. We've been playing together for a long time and we want to go out together the right way.
So real quick before we wrap things up here, we transition from now football to hockey. You especially transition from football to hockey, and hockey first game next week Saturday against Mitchell. Now getting into the process of being able to be full time on hockey. What is that? You do it you've done it every single year. Been the head coach of the Y Capitals, but what's the challenge of that going into this year?
Yeah, this is always the most painful year or week of the year, just with my feet killing me, being back in skates after not being in them for a few months. But it's always fun, and we're blessed to have a great great coaches. John Kotelnik does a great job to, really kind of leading the charge for the better part of the last month. While obviously we're worried about football and, getting the guys going and on the ice and just doing whatever they can to prepare, and then, once we get through the rest of football season like there, then, it's dive into scheme and get ready to play games, so it's almost, you feel a little bad because he does all the hard work and the other coaches do an awesome job of getting the kids through all the less fun stuff, and then we just get to come in and get them ready to play games.
What do you expect going into that first game against Mitchell? And next week Saturday, so you get another full week, and you get some preseason games this weekend as well. But what do you kind of expect next week?
Yeah, I think the most fun part going into this season right now is we're going to be a very deep hockey team. We've got 14 seniors out, which is a crazy number for hockey. That's more than some football teams have. It's a cool thing to have that many kids that are playing through their senior year, and that's going to provide us a lot of depth. So I think we're going to be able to play more lines, stay fresher with our top lines, and hopefully find some ways to have even better scoring season than we've had before.
What do you want to see from this weekend here in the preseason to kind of help you, maybe if there's some question about where this guy should be playing or that guy should be playing, or any kind of where lines kind of maybe look the best? What do you kind of want to see this weekend?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is that. It's, just looking for that chemistry out there, seeing some different line combinations than we've seen the last, we've done a couple of the inter-squad type scrimmages the previous few weeks. So just kind of seeing how players work together. Try a couple guys at some different positions. They're just kind of, again, we're trying to find the best puzzle. There's a lot of different people that can play a lot of different positions right now. And ultimately, we just want to put the best puzzle together, put them together in the best way that, gives us the best chances to win games.
Well, next week we'll take the week off for Thanksgiving, and we'll get back with Coach's Corner 2 weeks from today. So you get a chance to – you'll still have to talk to me next week Saturday, so you don't get the full week without me. But I appreciate the time. It's good to talk about a state championship win again, as we have the last 6 years now that I've been here. So it's fun to talk about that, fun to get ready for hockey, and appreciate the time. And good luck this weekend with the preseason, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, John.
As head coach Steve Steele, the Pierre Governors, and the Y Capitals will return with more Coach's Corner after this year on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Sean Lewis of the Pierre Governor wrestling team as practice got underway on Monday, and he got a chance to get right to it. And it's always exciting. That first part of the season, first week of the year of practice has got to be always is exciting. But what makes this year so exciting to get things rolling?
I'm super excited this year because I've been chomping at the bit to get coaching. With my first year removed from football, I've been basically chomping at the bit for 4 months. Wanting to coach some kids and get after it. And so, it's been exciting. This group is really exciting to be able to get in the room and get after it with, because you got 4 returning state finalists, all of which placed second. So I mean, they're definitely hungry to be able to get back in the room and on the mat and to try and not get second. Do the work to get back to the finals and try to erase that distaste of second place in their mouth and come out with a championship. On top of a senior class that ultimately I've had these guys since they were, in kindergarten pretty much. So this is going to be, last year's group I'd had for a really long time. It's going to kind of be one of the groups that I've been with along the way and along the journey throughout youth wrestling and everything with for quite a long time. And then, the excitement of having 40 plus kids in a wrestling room. We've had the 28 to 38 kind of hovering right in there, and we're peaking over 40 this year. So to see a room full packed of excited kids and excited coaches, it's a fun start to the year so far.
And this is probably one of the years that you yourself starting with being fresh and not being tired from the weekend prior of the state football championship. Obviously, you're there and get to celebrate and enjoy the time, but probably a little bit more wide awake to start Monday morning practice.
Yeah, so it was one of those where I didn't enter the season mentally drained, from a football state championship and doing all that. And it was, one of the first couple mornings that I haven't had to lean on my assistant coaches. Typically that first week, my assistant coaches have always kind of, I'll do a lot of the organizing and everything, getting things started, but I always kind of tell them like, hey, I need a week to really be able to get, my gumption and everything going. And I didn't have to. I was guns a-blazing this week. And, kids all think I'm crazy. I've been, doing a bunch of working out and making sure that I'm in kind of the best shape of my life for this year. So when I'm up at 4:15 and I'm working out by 5 o'clock and then I come back and I get to their practice at 6 o'clock, they're kind of wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, this guy's for real. And so, I'm just trying to, set the tone and, let them know that, hey, I can live the example. I'm not just going to yell at you to get your butt moving. I'm going to be able to get moving and do it right along with you and beside you. And I'm a 40-year-old man, so your 14 to 18-year-old body's got zero excuse to not be able to keep up.
So before we start to dive more into wrestling, I get the opportunity to talk to you about being a dad right now too, because there's not many times where I get to talk to a coach, but then also talk to a dad. Because Trey Lewis is the MVP of the football state championship. Obviously, we'll talk about him in wrestling a little bit too, but being up in the stands and cheering for your son, your oldest son, to be able to win the state championship and be the MVP. How much fun was that as a parent?
Oh, it was a blast. And I'm sitting here trying to go emotionally remove myself from all that, being teary-eyed and being a proud dad, and just kind of for the whole group that they've grown up. These boys have been in my house. My kids have been over at their house. We've hung out with their parents for years, and it's just it was an awesome experience. Very difficult for me personally to be up in the stands. For the first time, just the lack of control. I've always kind of been in control, but as the year progressed, I just really enjoyed being in the stands more and more, just being able to watch and, be a spectator and not have to worry about the X's and O's throughout the week. And, just kind of really root for your kid, because when you're coaching, you're constantly like, okay, awesome, nice play, but then you got to go ahead and, play the coach role or figure out the next call. And so it really gave me time to reflect on just how precious those years are. And, I remember Trey being a ball boy back in 2013 and watching guys get Joe Robbie MVP and him, saying how cool it would be to be able to get that award. Then moving into a sophomore season, he told me, moving into that game, like his goal was to be the Joe Robbie MVP. He wanted to tout the ball and do it, on his first carry from scrimmage, dislocated his shoulder and didn't do it. And, then had to find a new role to support his team. And so, to kind of have 2 years of prominence in my head of, okay, it'd be really cool, to get that award, just for it to actually come into fruition. It was just crazy. Never in a million years did I think that it would happen. There's just so many different players on this team, that I could go down the list that are all deserving of that award. And so, for him to be able to bring that home is still kind of pretty surreal. He's like, I don't know where I'm going to put this. And I'm like, well, kid, I think we'll find a spot. Yeah. Definitely an accomplishment that, is going to be on the mantle for quite a few years.
And last question with this too: is it louder up in the stands or louder down on the field when it comes to a big play happening and trying to hear what's all happening at once?
I would say it's probably louder down on the field. But I've always had a headset on. So, I mean, you got 1 year where that's completely muffled out, or, I've been up at a booth where you can hear it, you can feel it. And I know that it's not exactly the same, being up in the stands, but I was definitely one up there that was trying to help make that atmosphere being the best that it could. I was really pretty calm and collected throughout the year at home games, but I tell you what, at the Dome, I was getting rowdy, I was yelling, I was screaming, I was trying to make that whole night electric and memorable for those guys.
All right, so let's move on to wrestling. You mentioned the first when we first started talking about 4 guys that were state finalists and got second place and all coming back. Obviously, Deacon Huska won a state championship last year, but not back with his team. There's a lot of guys that, especially with those ones that were in second place, have a lot of hopeful for a individual state championship. And over the last few years, this might be one of the most that we've seen. Obviously, we've seen the Superior Governor wrestling team be really good, so that says a lot about what this team can have with the amount of guys that are hopeful for winning individual state championships.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we had talked about so far this week is, we've won dual state championships. But this group in particular has never been a part of an individual team state championship. And so, we're obviously still going to focus on duals. We're going to try and develop, 14, 28, solid individuals with backups and everything else. But we're going to do a whole lot of also individual coaching this year, a lot more than, we've done in years past, to really try and get some of those kids to the next level. Because like I said, you have 4 guys who've tasted it and they really want a shot at that individual state championship. And that, it takes a concerted effort. It takes a whole lot more individual work, along with trying to still get all the team stuff in development, because, for the thing we can't forget about is, over half our team is freshmen. And so we've got a huge balancing act of, okay, we've got to get, base positioning, base fundamentals in, along with trying to work those kind of high-end top tweaks that we need to do with each individual skill set to be able to get them to the mountaintop. And so it's definitely going to be an interesting year. It's going to be a balancing act, but, I think we've got the crew who can they're definitely not scared to put in the work. We've seen that on the football field. We've seen that with other guys who are, multi-sport athletes. We've had a couple guys who are both on the soccer team and running cross country. So it's not like they don't know, how to compete. We're also bringing in, guys who are top level golfers as well. So, they've got the mental aspect of it. So everybody kind of brings their own little, nuances into wrestling from other sports, and we're just excited to get going.
Well, and you look at that too, because there are a lot of people like, football guys end up being wrestling. It's not, which is the case still here in Pierre, but there's a lot of guys that are coming from different sports and that will do different sports in the spring. That it's a combination of a lot of good athletes from a lot of different sports that come to be a wrestler.
It is. You don't have to be a football player to come in. Like you said, we've got cross country runners, we've got soccer players, we've got golfers, and and guys that are at a high level at all of them. And so, I don't want to give away too many secrets, but your wrestling coach, one of his best friends should be the head football coach, and the head football coach, one of his best friends should be the wrestling coach. Because those two do go hand in hand quite a bit. And I'd even say it further. You take a step further. It's like, well, your head wrestling coach and your defensive coordinator better be best friends, which I was the blessing of doing both, and so I got to develop it. Because you're going to tackle. A takedown is a takedown, and a tackle is a takedown as well. And so, you want to have that relationship with them, and I would say that, Matt Thorson coaching the girls team, and him and I working hand in hand, that's obviously still the case, and, they do. There's so much similarity, but just sports in general. In this small community, what we need is kids who just compete. It doesn't really matter which sport. You can bring translation from any sport from one into the next, and as long as they're competing season to season and aren't taking huge gaps of time off to where you've got to spend a lot of time recovering and processing, that's just how we need to do it here in Pierre. It's multi-sport athletes season after season and year after year.
Well, the dual state championship, you guys won that last year, looking to defend that title. Kind of a 2-part question, but first, again, we're in week 1, and the dual state championship is 2 weeks before the individual state championships. We'll talk about that in a second. But in week one, how do you start that mindset of being able to defend a dual state championship?
You really just got to teach kids all over how to work. Football guys are coming in and they're a little mentally fatigued, but you have other guys who are coming in and they haven't done anything for a month or 6 weeks or however long till their season's been over. I mean, shoot, some of them weren't in a fall sport, and so you're just trying to program that into their head, both how to work hard, how to have fun. Ultimately that's a balancing act between the two that we it's a thing in our program and our philosophy that we talk about all the time. Because when you can work hard and have fun, and you can have fun working hard, like, oof, you've got something special. And so that's a mentality that, we're working on. We're going to try and get base shape and a few things like that, kind of in line, and really just get them to believe that, hey, this can be done. Like, the tools are here, and you young guys, you have the ability to step in. We've had middle school kids, coming from middle school to their freshman year, step in flawlessly on occasion. And we actually have 3 middle school kids who are in our room. And the reason why those 3 are, pulled up right now in our room is because we believe in them. And so, we've got to entrust in them that, hey, your coaches believe in you, therefore you should believe in yourself and your abilities. And overall, that's kind of the gist of the first week.
The dual state championships going to be not on the same weekend, either a week or two before the actual, and this might 2 weeks before. So, and this might be a question to ask you at the end of January, beginning of February. But do you like that they're on separate weekends and they're 2 weeks apart? Does it make a difference to you? I know week one probably doesn't make a difference right now, but overall, I know we've had this discussion before. But what does that do going into the season?
Well, overall here, what I'm going to probably do is speak out of both sides of my mouth. I've been a huge advocate of, if you want a true dual state tournament, that you need to have them on separate weekends. And so I'm very glad that this has happened. But it seems like every time Pierre wins the dual state championship, we change the format the very next year. And so it's like, okay, well, we've changed the format twice now, and every year has been the year after we've won it. So it's like, okay, now it's a different obstacle, it's a different challenge to be able to navigate, and ultimately we as a coaching staff, we're going to figure that out. We're always trying to get our kids to peak at the end of the year. Well, now we've kind of got 2 different peaks at the end of the year, along with regions stuck in the middle. So is it difficult to get your kids to peak 3 weeks in a row? Yeah, probably. And to be able to stay injury free, but we're not going to be the only team navigating that. And so there's going to be some balancing with it, and we'll figure it out. And I think we've been peaking at that point in time in the year anyway. So we'll see. It's a new challenge, so I'm excited for it.
Talking with Sean Lewis here of the Pierre Governor Wrestling team, the boys side, and both the boys and girls got going this week with wrestling, and they will have their first competition December 1st and 2nd up in Mandan, up in North Dakota, that tournament. And that's always a great tournament. That is a lot of really good wrestling happening at the beginning of the season. It's almost it probably almost has a feel of a state tournament type because of how good that competition is on that weekend.
Yeah, fantastic teams that are up there. Along with the North Dakota schools, you've got Sturgis and Rapid City Stevens and us that go up there, and you get thrown into these pools and you wrestle out your pool, and then depending on how you do in your pool, you get bracketed the next day. So, you're guaranteed about 7 matches week one, which is fantastic. Some kids go to a tournament, it's their very first tournament, they go 0-2, they're done. They really didn't get any learning. We're going to get about 7 matches, when we go up there. Against that quality competition, who also starts about a week and a half before we do. So they're a week and a half ahead of us. And that's a new challenge in itself every year, of just like, okay, we can't start off slow. Like, we got to hit it running, because that first competition, we don't want to take any losses that we don't need to, because of shape or because of anything else like that. And now on top of it, North Dakota only went with 13 weight classes, and South Dakota's got 14. So now we've got different weight classes when we go up there. That'll kind of be an interesting piece to navigate as well. But we'll do what we can. We'll get kids in the right weight classes, and if it's not our, exact starting 14 wrestlers, we've got to do 13. Then we'll figure that out. So it'll, like I said, another piece to it with that, but one that I think we're still looking forward to.
And real quick, I know we kind of mentioned in the beginning, but what makes you most excited about what this team is it going to be able to potentially do, the capability of this team this year?
Just guys that I've been around with for a really long time. I think it's a team that trusts in the process. They trust in what we're doing as coaches. I think we've got a fantastic coaching staff now with, Kirby Cronin moving up from the middle school up to the high school to be a volunteer, along with Jevin Keys coming back. And so now we've got 3 coaches in the room versus 2, that we've had the last year. And I think just this senior crew is going to be a fun one. They're a bunch of group of kids who just they work really, really hard. Every single one of them works tremendously hard to get to the point that they've gotten, and yet they're also really fun to be around. Like they don't take things too serious, but yet they take things serious. And you don't have to ask more than once, and if you do, it's because they gave you a little smirk remark back, which wasn't out of anything, but just to see if they could get a smile out of you. So I'm excited. Like I said, they're a fun group, and it's time to go.
Coach, I appreciate the time. It's good to talk to you right out of the gates in that first week. We'll have plenty of conversations throughout the winter and get ready for this wrestling season, which will begin here in about 2 weeks, and excited for what the Pierre Governors can do this year.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
As head coach Sean Lewis of the Pierre Wrestling team will return aboard Coach's Corner after this. You're on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power. Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
Back here on Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Linda DeBoer of the Miller Wrestlers as they get set for the state tournament, which begins on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and out in Rapid City as they take on Wagner in the first game of that state tournament. And Coach, it's good talking to you again. With last chance we got able to talk. You had just won the Sodak 16. Now a week later, getting set for the state tournament. How has practice been through that week and getting set for the state tournament coming up?
Practice has been good. The girls are focused. We're trying to work through our nerves as I'm taking a young crew this year. Last year we graduated 7 off our state fourth place team. So lots of girls with new jerseys and new aspirations, and many of them, this will be their first time going to state tournament.
So, and to go on top of that right now, how important is getting going early on in that game on Thursday in that first round? Obviously, it's a long weekend, and you can't just have your best play at the first few points of the state tournament. But how important is to be able to get a good start and kind of get everybody settled down and the nerves settled down? That is, to treat it like every other game.
Yeah, I think that'll be key. Us settling in, like with our Sodak match against Flandreau. We let the first 4 or 5 points of the first set go as we were sort of awestruck about the moment. And so we need to play our game a little sooner. although we always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish what's important. But we need to get off to a good start and try to set our pace with the game and do what we want to accomplish right first, offensively and defensively.
And talking with Coach Linda DeBoer of the Miller Rustlers, and they are the 3 seed taking on the 16 Wagner in the first round of the state tournament, coming up again on Thursday at 7:45 Central Time from Rapid City. We mentioned a little bit too last week that you like the fact that you're playing the last game. You'd rather not, you're obviously going to take whatever you get wherever you're going to play, but you do like the fact that you're playing that last game of the night, where maybe somebody would say we want to play right away and not worry about everybody else and not get too antsy. You do like you're playing the final game of the night.
Yeah, the girls have even said they think it'll feel more like a regular match playing at a time we're familiar with playing, even though with the hour time change. But most of our matches have been at about that time in the evenings, and it'll give us a chance to watch a little bit during the day and get used to the lights and the sound and the floor and everything. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I think the girls are too.
Obviously, you're focused on Wagner in that first game, and knowing that you have 3 games in 3 days, how do you handle trying to be prepared for everybody without saying you're prepared for Sioux Falls Christian, because that would be the third game of the day or third game of your tournament if you do play them, but you're worried about Wagner, but then you're also kind of ready to go against anybody and everybody that you might play.
Yeah, it's such a crazy experience at a state tournament because you don't know your opponents other than the first one. But I think going on Thursday and having the girls watch a little bit of each team and watching the match in front of ours will help them a lot. Our girls are pretty smart when they watch other teams and try to learn their tendencies and their offensive sets and everything. So I think you just got to take it one match at a time and try to be as prepared as you can be on your side of the net. Sometimes there's not a whole lot we can control on the other side, so you just have to worry about what you can control on your side.
Well, you are facing Wagner in the first round. They were the number 1 seed last year in the state tournament, and now the number 6 seed in this state tournament. What do you expect from them going into the first round contest?
Height. They are much bigger than we are. They have tall, athletic girls, and they hit the ball extremely well. They have 2, possibly 3 really good quality hitters that we are going to try to contain and hopefully pick up a few balls on defense against them. Aggressive servers, good athletes, big at the net, offensively and defensively. So we're going to have our work cut out for us again. We're going to go with our philosophy like we did with Flandreau, and hopefully heart and hustle last more than height.
Well, and the nice thing too for what this Miller Rustler team has is the different options that you have to go for hitters. Aaliyah Schlechter leads your team in kills. Paige Wardell and Shaylee Annenberg each have over 200 kills for the Rustlers, and there's 2 others in Grace Wardell and Katie Lichty Kate Lichty that has over 100 kills. So this is a team that the Rustlers have that have a lot of options, and I guess when you're talking about a big team too, that it's always nice to have a lot of options, but when you have to make those big girls move around, that helps out a lot to be able to feed in anybody and everybody on the floor.
It does. One of the things that I've liked most about this team is our balance. It seems like every night or every match we have somebody different that leads us in different categories, and so we are not that team that has just one go-to girl like some teams seem to have. I think we are really balanced in our offensive distribution, and like you said, I hope that helps wear down those big blockers a little bit.
And talking with Coach Linda DeBoer here of the Miller Rustlers, they are playing on Thursday night, 7:45 Central Time against Wagner, and they'll be looking to play, a championship. Well, every night will be at 7:45. You hope to be playing every single night at the end of the night to play that last game of the day. But overall, as we start to wrap things up here, what's one of the things to make that happen? And you mentioned, too, you're taking it one game at a time, so you're not worried about Friday night, not worried about Saturday night, but how do you get to that point of being able to be that last team to play every single night, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?
I think we just have to be consistent and keep doing the things that got us here, like our hustle, our defense, our aggressive serving, playing smarter, not harder at times, helping the girls see what's coming at them from across the net, and just trying to stay confident and comfortable and use our balance to the best of our abilities. I think that will help us stay out of the Sunshine League in the morning.
Also, you and I get a chance to talk before Wednesday when this will air on Coach's Corner. So we were talking beforehand, before it got to Wednesday. You guys are one of the first practices. Rapid City Christian will practice, and then you guys will have the second practice. What's the game plan and what's the itinerary for these girls to enjoy the time being out there? But you have a long time after practice on Wednesday ends out in Rapid City, and then when your first game is, what's kind of the itinerary to let these girls really enjoy and really soak in the state tournament?
We have a few team bonding activities going on with the team in the afternoon, and some door decorating and different things. There's an FCA supper that we will attend on Wednesday night that will break up the day a little bit, but I think it'll just be a good time to relax, settle in, do a few team bonding things, and just enjoy the experience and make some memories on that Wednesday, and then get to work on the court on Thursday.
All right, so now the first of the two questions is, what's going to be the biggest reason why the Miller Rustlers, what's the biggest key to get that first win Thursday night?
Balance. I think all of our hitters, all of our players on the court need to represent and do what they've done to get us here and play with confidence. That's first ball contact for us. It's important for us to serve aggressively and pass and dig the ball well. It seems like this group, once they get those first two contacts in, the rest of it seems to take care of itself. So first ball contact is going to be real crucial for us.
So, and then the final question is, without jumping ahead, obviously you guys want to stay out of the Sunshine League and play Friday night and into Saturday evening and Saturday night. What's the biggest key for the Rustlers to be able to get to that spot and have a top three finish at the state tournament?
I think we just have to take it one match at a time, one set at a time, 1 point at a time, and keep our heads. We always talk about not getting too high with the highs and too low with the lows. Volleyball is a very, it's a big game when it comes to momentum swings, and so I think we just have to keep our heads about us and play calmly, play confidently, and play together. This group really excels when they play for one another instead of just with one another.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. It's been fun talking to you the last couple of weeks. Looking forward to following this Miller Rustler team and seeing what they can do here this weekend. And good luck Thursday, good luck Friday, good luck Saturday, and hopefully this is going to be a fun weekend for Miller Rustler volleyball.
I hope so. Our community is so excited. Our school is so excited to be returning to state again. So I hope it's a weekend full of good memories for everyone.
Well, that is Coach Linda DeBoer of the Miller Rustlers, as we'll return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. At KCCR Sports.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
Back here in KCCR studios as we wrap up another evening of Coach's Corner. As again, we will take our Thanksgiving break next week. We'll return 2 weeks from tonight. November 29th will be our next show here for Coach's Corner. I want to thank our coaches and Steve Steele of the Pierre Governors and Hawaii Capitals, as well as Sean Lewis of the Pierre Governor Boys Wrestling Team and Linda DeBoer of the Miller Rustler Volleyball Team. And again, the Rustlers will begin their state tournament on Thursday, tomorrow, and they will have their first matchup, 7:45 Central Time. It's the final game of the evening out in Rapid City for the Class A state tournament, as the Rustlers will take on the Wagner Red Raiders. And we'll have coverage and wrap-up of the Rustler games on our website at kccradio.com and our morning sports on Friday and on Monday, coming up here this week and into next week. Again, thanks to our coaches. We'll be back 2 weeks from tonight. You've been listening to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccradio.com.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.